Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Thursday, March 2nd. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple of clarifications. Number one, the price you see over here will be changing, and the candlestick you see right there will be moving. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time, but I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, CDIO. Talked about this one in yesterday's video, mapped out that area of resistance right there. So for any of you that watched that video and took note of that breakout point today, congratulations, you are getting paid very, very nicely. So nicely, in fact, that as of right now, there's nothing really I can talk about from a pattern perspective or anything like that because the price is literally just going straight up. Now, the idea of a watch list is to find unique, to find interesting situations and not randomly rush out and buy anything, but to watch it. And when you have movements like this, I would definitely consider them very unique, very worthwhile. So yes, as of right now, is there any sort of pattern to keep an eye on? There isn't. But as far as pullback players are concerned, an interesting pullback area from a support standpoint, right down there at the $5 mark. But if you are a pattern player, it's still at least worth watching because at some point on Thursday, maybe the price pulls back here and, does some sort of pullback here. Well, at least at that point in time, you could say, okay, yeah, the price is pulled back. But before that, there was a nice upwards move. So maybe some sort of bull flag, pattern occurs on Thursday. As of now, again, there is no pattern. There is no bull flag. I'm just saying that when you have this amount of movement, this amount of volume, it's certainly worth keeping an eye on, especially if you like stocks down below the $10 mark. But like I said, if you like to play pullbacks, then I definitely keep an eye on that $5 area. Next one here, LHDX, and this will mean a little bit more to those of you that have watched past videos, but if you have, then hopefully you remember me talking about that green line right there as support, and I bring that up because you can see, surprise, surprise, the power of charts. The past couple of candles have bounced right off that green line, which brings about the big question headed into Thursday. Is this area of support going to continue to hold? Does it bounce? Does it break through? And obviously nobody knows that because there are no guarantees. But my point here is that as an underlying, dynamic, that's going to be a very important level to watch right there at the 75-cent mark. So 75 cents, very, very intriguing level. And you got to think, like I said, a lot of people will be watching that level. So if the price does not break up, or if the price does not bounce and comes down through, next key area of support to watch would be that purple line there, which on my chart denotes the 50-period moving average, currently valued at 62 cents. If the price does get the bounce, the next key level remains up there, that previous area that I talked about up at the $1.18 mark. Earlier today, it was actually broken through, but a pretty cruel move. The fake breakout, then to have it pull all the way back down to this area of support. But now it's just a question, like I said, of can it get the bounce off this support? So far, so good. It's holding. Now it's just a question of does it bounce? Next one, ONCS, and we have an interesting situation here because sure, the price has pulled back. So, people that were buying up there, I realize the chart's not looking so good for you, but the price has pulled back and at least the price has now started to go sideways. Now, let me be very clear, and I wish I could say trading was this easy. Just because there's a price, or just because there's a pullback, and just because the price then started to go sideways, does not mean that for sure guaranteed, oh yeah, this thing's getting ready to turn itself around. My point here is it now becomes plausible. It now becomes rational to think that, okay, maybe, just maybe, things are over. Whereas, case in point, let's say the price just was dropping and dropping and dropping, and I'm sitting here saying, hey, it's looking like this thing could be done. It's looking like this thing could be reaching some sort of bottom. You'd be completely justified to say, what are you talking about? Based on what? No, the price is just dropping straight down. But that's not the case here. The price has started to go sideways, which makes the first key level of support right there at the $1.90 mark. And if you're looking to place some sort of potential, move back to the upside, in my mind, an interesting level of resistance to keep an eye on is that area right there at the $2.15 mark. So nice little risk reward scenario here. Volume has dropped off a huge amount, which is what you want to see during the consolidation. So yeah, is this just a temporary pullback before another move back upwards? Very fascinating question, and certainly one worth watching if you like to play this price range. Next one here, RIVN. First kind of general thing. Pretty popular stock. I'm not going to say it's as popular as NIO or Tesla, but RIVN, apparently not that popular. I don't even know the ticker symbol, but RIVN, still a relatively popular chart, EV, all that sort of good stuff. And you combine that with the fact of absolutely beat down today after earnings. And people just like to buy popular stocks that are beat down and you factor in the third piece right there, the last 30 minutes, you can see a green little candle here is forming, which just makes me throw out the question, is this maybe the start of a bigger bounce in the upwards direction? To be fair, maybe not. That's why stop losses matter. That's why risk management matters. But you have a very well-defined area of support right now down at the 1550 mark. So from a trade plan, construction standpoint, I could see that carrying some relevance within your trade plan. But the point here being is that this thing, like we just talked about, has started to go sideways. Got the green candle. Do these things guarantee a bounce? No, but it goes back to that question of plausibility. Is it at least plausible that maybe, just maybe, these things are starting to signal a bounce coming? And in my mind, absolutely. So keep an eye on this one, and let's see if this is indeed the start of a bigger bounce back to the upside. Next one here, AMC, the pullback has continued, and some pretty well-defined levels. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. So let me be very clear. I'm not saying that either of these areas are great discoveries, require special talent, anything like that. And I say all that because when a lot of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So the first level here that you got to think a bunch of people are watching is right there at that sideways movement, $6.45. You can see several times the price has been down around there, and it has held strong. So you got to think a lot of people are watching, wondering, can that produce another bounce? If the price breaks below it, is that going to create another side of momentum to the downside? But point being, a lot of people watching that level. And the other side of things, a lot of people are going to be watching that 50-period moving average, purple line. It's a famous level. It's already rejected the price once. And in all actuality, if you wanted to, you could just call this, using these two levels. So we have the top of a channel and the bottom of the channel. So not all actuality, just a very narrow, very, short term right now, sideways channel pattern that is forming. So if you like to play these sorts of setups, worth keeping an eye on. Again, going along with the idea of AMC, pretty popular stock. Maybe you've heard of it before from a few years ago, but keep an eye on these dynamics here. And again, that 50-period moving average valued at $6, and let's just call it 80 cents. Real quick, wanted to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering very soon. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency to manage risk, certainly get signed up for the free class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then I want you to get signed up for the free class. Next one here, HLBZ, and no doubt about it, what we would call a gap and trap. Pretty ugly looking chart. Price gapped all the way up there, opened, and then from there, basically just bled the rest of the day. But you longer time viewers know what I'm going to say next. There can be opportunity in the ugly. So if this pullback wants to come down a bit more, a very interesting level sits right down here at that 13-cent mark, which is a former area of consolidation right there. And then you also have the fact it's where that purple line is, again, the 50-period moving average. So 13 cents, while it does not guarantee any sort of bounce, it becomes plausible that that could very well be a bounce area, in which, does require the chart to get a bit more ugly. But the nice thing here is, let's say it comes down here and doesn't bounce. Well, assuming you're a disciplined trader, you can have a very minimal risk. Whereas even if you get a small bounce to the upside compared to what was being risked, then you could still have a very, very solid, from a ratio perspective, risk versus reward scenario. So if you like penny stocks, if you like to play these kind of opportunity in the ugly type situations, definitely keep an eye on it. Next one here, NIO, and a rough day today, not necessarily because it was red, but because it broke down through yet another very important level of support, being right here at this area, which you can see past few days had done a fantastic job of holding strong, but this morning just absolutely crushed down through there. So another lower low, and get rid of that level, which brings about the first key update, and just based on a foundation rule in charting, which states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So if there is any sort of attempted bounce in the upwards direction here, then $9.15 is going to be that main area of resistance. You also want to keep an eye on that purple line there, which right there, brutal. Classic example of that moving average acting as resistance, just like it did back here a couple of times right there, acted as resistance. So, and it's kind of a double whammy because that purple line is basically the same general area as 915. Now, granted, it's a moving average, so eventually it will move down below that red line. But point being, those couple levels will be the main area of resistance on any sort of attempted bounce. As far as levels of support, very straightforward. Just simply asking the question, well, where did the bleeding finally stop today? That was down there at 877 on actually several occasions. You had it during the opening 30 minutes and then a couple more times this afternoon. So 877, at least now, becomes more of a rational area to think could be some sort of bounce point. Again, no guarantees, so that's why risk management matters. But I wouldn't call you crazy for thinking, okay, I think this thing going sideways, bottoming out, maybe some sort of bounce. I see your understanding that standpoint, but that's why you always got to have risk management, because this thing is in a very clear overall downtrend. So you're in some senses trying to catch a falling knife, but given the sideways nature, you can structure yourself a worthwhile risk-reward scenario. Next one here, TRKA, and this will mean a bit more to those of you that watched the video from yesterday, but talked about a couple key levels, namely this area of support right there, and then through in this resistance level. So at this point, you can see that late afternoon, volume came surging back in and got a beautiful, beautiful breakout of that trend line. So that's really the best way to describe this one right now, is a new breakout has occurred. And I don't want to have clutter and lines all over the place. So I'm just going to clean these up and get rid of them and do some more updates. So as far as next potential areas of support are concerned, you now have that newest level right there at the 42-cent mark. So any sort of pullback, 42 cents is very interesting. From more of an overarching standpoint, continue to watch that purple line there, the 50-period moving average, keyword there being moving. So as time goes by, that line is going to move itself higher and higher. So from an overarching standpoint, if you want to envision that as a trend line that draws itself for you, as long as the price is above the trend line, then overall the price is still plenty in the bull's favor. And then as far as areas of resistance are concerned, very straightforward here. Just a question of where did the party and momentum finally stop today? And that was right up there twice at 48 cents. So 48 cents will be that initial area of, battleground. But all in all, like I said, I realized I deleted the line out, but that's the context. Got the trend line break. Now moving into Thursday, it's just a question of can this trend line break, pick up that much more momentum? We'll see what happens. Next one here, TSLA Tesla. And interesting pattern here going on. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that because yes, you can't deny the fact that as of right now, there is this upwards channel that has formed basically throughout the course of the entire day. In fact, that's more of an accurate channel. So yeah, there's maybe it doesn't look like a big difference, but point being, yeah, there's some upwards movement here, but you got to ask yourself, well, what was going on before this upwards channel? Well, you had this big move down as so, which has allowed me to now draw a bear flag pattern. Let me be very clear. Just because something's bullish, for example, does not mean the price is going to go up. Same is true, just because something's bearish does not mean the price is going to go down. My point here is that, yes, there's no doubt about it. Nice move here. I'm just saying be skeptical of it because all it's done is created a bear flag pattern, and it would not be shocking at all to see the price then ultimately continue back to the downwards direction. Now, there are no guarantees, so maybe this downwards channel is legit, and maybe this thing is heading back up here to that area of resistance at $210. That's also possible. But I'm just saying, don't get too narrow focused on that upwards channel that formed today and think that everything's just fine and dandy, because in all actuality, like I said, it's just formed a bear flag pattern. So keep an eye on that. I know I'll be watching it, and we'll see if this is indeed the start of a truly strong channel or if this thing is getting ready to roll back over. Next one here, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ market. So if you think that the NASDAQ market as a whole is going to rise, this one will also rise. The difference for this one just is that allows you access at a lower price point. And as I talked about in past videos, this will mean more, especially if you watch the video from Tuesday. But I talked about that level at 2205 and mentioned in that video that if it fell, then yeah, you got to think that that level's got a good chance of testing. Now, did I think it would happen that quick? No, I'll be honest, I didn't think it would happen that quick, but the price broke, essentially went straight down, but the power of charts, I'll turn that into a quick plug. Get signed up for that free class, but price came down here, and look at that. Beautiful. And no, I did not put that green line in there. That green line's been there. If you don't believe me, I'm not offended. Just go back in the video archive, and you'll see that I have that green line there. I don't say that to brag about myself. I do say it to brag about the tool of charts. So again, get signed up for the class. But right here, now moving forward, 2135 is certainly that key level of support. I could, convert this one back into being an area of resistance, but I'm not, because what we can do here from a resistance standpoint is just use that 50-period moving average as a key area of resistance, which you can see earlier on in the day did indeed act as resistance. Current value of that is at 2203. So yeah, the price is knocking on the door of 2135 as support. If it does bounce, can it get through that 50-period moving average? Things are certainly looking shaky here, but to be fair, and looking back through things, you can see that this area has done a good job of acting as support before, but can it get the bounce? We'll see what happens. So that wrapped up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to get signed up for the class. Like I said, it'll be very soon, Thursday, March 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, please do two things for me. Hit the like button, leave a comment below, say hi, tell me what you traded today, tell me what you're watching tomorrow. But those two things help out the channel, and I really appreciate it. So again, get signed up for that free training. Hit the like button, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.